What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this episode of Nanocast, podcast all about the cryptocurrency Nano. Nano is fast, fearless, scalable, and led by a driven team. It has inspired thousands to participate in the development of its apps and services. And on this podcast, you'll get to meet some of those people and learn what they're up to. Today, we get to hang out with Michael Doyle. Michael Doyle is the CEO of KPI Gaming and also works for PvP.me, a gambling website. Mike, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Sean. It's awesome to be here, and hopefully we can answer and have a really awesome talk about Nano, and hopefully learn a few things in the meanwhile.
Sweet. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, how you first got into Nano, and what's getting you fired up about it right now.
Okay. I started with Nano back when it was like grey blocks. I think it was at the end of November approximately. But my background mainly has been in eSports for over at least 15 years. I started like a small gaming company for servers, like when you used to rent like a Battlefield or Counter-Strike server back then. And it kind of all grew from there. Right now, my main focus is KPI Gaming, while also, helping out PvP with its Nano integration. And honestly, it's these last few months, it's just been Nano.
And is there any one thing you're working on that you're pretty stoked about when it comes to Nano or the community?
Right now, there is one thing I'm working on with another partner. It's mainly focused for Venezuela. I do think, I have my own ideas of what I think the approach of Nano, how it could succeed. I think that what are the main benefits of Nano? You and I don't really see them because we've already got multiple services around us that can offer similar things. But at the same time, what really got its attention to me was the fact that when people say no fees, they just say, yeah, it's no fees and it's instant. But they don't or when they compare it with a bit the poor people that can't use Bitcoin because of the transaction fees, they talk about it overly, but they don't really understand how really bad they've got it, but really bad. You've got so many people there that have talent, that are capable of doing things, and the only thing they've got missing is an opportunity or someone to say, you know what, I'll give you a chance on that, try it and see if it works out. And I can't get into many details, but it's going around there. It's mainly focused about developing, young people or, older people in Venezuela to develop their own business. But basically in a way that allows them to, even if they have no experience or anything like that, to be able to receive help and, say, okay, well, look, if you've never set up a business, these are the main things you have to watch out. At the end of the day, when people talk about setting up a business, it's not that big of a thing. It's at the end of how much time you're putting in, how much it costs you to run, and how much you're getting back. And then depending on all those variables, you can see if it's worth your time, if you can hire more people or not. And I think true adoption, where people are going to really see what it means to have instant and feelers, is actually allowing them to be unbanked. People always talk about, banking the unbanked with Bitcoin, crypto and all that. But you really, what it comes down to, or at least from where I see it, is you need people to be able to save for them to be able to afterwards be able to start something or dedicate, usually most people have the constraints of a daily life, right? That you have a job, you work from 8 to 9, whatever, and you've got very few little hours. Either you spend those hours building something else, or you're chained to basically how society works. Obviously our chains in our world is a lot more comfortable with the ones that they've got. But I think that if we allow them, give them some help for them to really start moving it inside their community. And then once really, mouth to mouth gets around and they realize that, with Nano, they can have their own bank account. They don't have any transaction fees. They can have it separate. They can even hide some parts so, the governments don't come behind them, whatever. There's all these kinds of, we also need a privacy tool in regards to that, in my opinion. But there is a very big issue with that. People, when talk about mixers, they don't realize that most mixers are considered money laundering. And money laundering in every country is illegal. So it's a big issue, but as well, for basic privacy, the government doesn't need to know what you are doing. It doesn't mean that you are doing a bad thing. It just means respect by privacy. And I do believe a lot in that. Now, there is some issues in there to actually achieve it. People, I think they're not aware that, why many people don't bring out a mixer or things like that is because there's a lot of legal consequences behind it. And, Monero is Monero because of its community, because it's mainly anonymous. Nano, I think that either someone, totally unknown comes around, something like that, and is able to build it, and then we can have it for them. But at the end of the day, where I'm going with this rant is just allowing them to be able to save. If they're allowed to save and they can start saving and they're not losing money when they're sending transactions, they'll be able to buy more stuff. They'll be able to invest in their own personal things and overall improve their overall life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really interesting thing to think about that I don't think I've heard anybody talk about before. It's one thing to bank the unbanked, just as a general, like that's what we want to do. But when you think about how the unbanked don't actually have all that much money, banking them isn't necessarily like it's good for them, but it's not necessarily going to be good for like the coin, which I think why most people are saying it.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked a bit like previously, I mean, many people that are in Nano, I understand that at the end of the day, they've done it like an investment, and that's fine. But you need to understand that neither the developers or anyone in the community owes anyone anything. This is just something because, you do it to, I mean, what attracted me most to Ray blocks when I saw, Collins, the block that basically it's just saying this is, without sounding like, max shilling to the top and everything, it is or at least I haven't seen any other. And if there is anyone, you can always write a comment or something, I'll check it out and see if there's anything that does the same. But there's no real currency that allows what Nano allows to the average Joe. And the average Joe that's really going to use crypto, in my opinion, are the developing countries. I think that, I mean, I was discussing it the other day I think it was with Nanorca, like, you send a transaction now and they'll even offer to get it instantly in the day across borders between European countries. I think Nano, or my opinion, needs, depends on how each one has their own personal opinion, but I think that it's true adoption where it's going to be needed, where it's going to be used, are these developing countries. Now, for these developing countries to use it and to expand it, they need reasons to build on top of it. And obviously, let's be honest, most of them don't have anything to start with. But for example, you and me, if I say I donate, I don't know, $5, $10 to someone, I can allow myself not having a couple of drinks one night, and now this person can start a business. Now, I mean, I really believe that maybe in a few months, even if just 2 or 3 people, I mean, maybe there'll be, a few hundred people, that'll be, will start a business, but even if just 5 succeed, that's enough. That's 5 people that built a business, that are hiring people, and that their families are being fed with Nano. If someone tells me that isn't adoption, real adoption, I don't know what is. Now, if we want to translate that to our, the developed countries, I think obviously that's not going to work. There's going to be other reasons for us to use it. Maybe if you want to send, your funds from one exchange to another, you want it fast because you want to trade, whatever, Nano is a great tool. If Nano is always a bit less than Bitcoin, you always have the utility like Litecoin has in exchanges to be used for other, altcoins that have lower value. There are certain aspects, or micro payments. Imagine you're playing some game on mobile. I mean, we were talking at DreamHack. There was also another stand that had that they were like a game development school. And going past, I don't know, like this stupid idea popped out, and I was like, let's just ask them. And it was basically going around the concept of saying, look, you guys got loads of students that end up your courses. They're going to be building games. I'm sure there's a way that we can work together and get those games to integrate a currency like Nano, which has all the benefits for it to not be an issue in a game because it has no fees. There's no, it's just like having any virtual coin that you would have, just that instead of staying in the game, you can actually translate it afterwards to the real world.
Right.
However they go around that, it's up to them and their own game mechanic. But those are the type of things that I think Nano is how it's going to be entered in our developing countries. Now, I don't, if we're talking about others, you've heard my case, like what I think that the way that at least how we're doing it, and hopefully we can, in the next couple of days, get it out there, get the website out, people can check it out. But we've already got a few Patreons to support this, and at least have a few businesses running in the next few weeks.
It sounds pretty cool. Crowdsourced microfinancing using Nano.
To help. 0 interest and don't have to give back. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, we always support, like it says on the website, like, if you give back what we gave you, you're helping someone else.
Right.
Going full circle. That would be the ideal world. Obviously, people are bound to fail. There's going to be people that are going to try and take advantage. But right now, we've got a really good, decent amount of people in different locations, like in Caracas, etc. That if we can plan this correctly, it's not going to be easy. But I'll be honest. I mean, if I can just get one person to have a successful business, just one with Nano, that'll do me. That'll be just what that's just enough. Because that will prove that, you know, the idea is doable, that it has, you know, makes sense. People can make it work. And at the end of the day, I don't know, that's the best way I see, honestly, adoption. Just building businesses, giving people the freedom. Because like, if you want to start a business in our world, we need to get a lot of money to be able to start it. Usually we got to get financing. It's going to cost us X amount of years. And it's like, man, you know what? I'll just wait till a bit later. How many people in there can't even eat? They're not going to even think about a business. But if you tell them, hey, don't worry, you can buy like this, that, the other. Now you can start your own, whatever you're going to be doing, sell it, build it. I don't care. Just do something and make, you know, you do it with your own effort. And at the end of the day, it will grow if you put the effort.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. It's also a great way, like, people will be able to say, Nano changed my life, right? And then they become the biggest advocates. You know.
I mean, people talk about the Next Boardroom, things like that. I mean, wouldn't you want to have hundreds of thousands of people that already use Nano saying, man, I want to promote this because I want this to go up. And that's just from a speculative reason. I mean, I'm not really into that type of thing. I just think that at the end of the day, you want real cases, real things that produce a change. And that when you know, I mean, nothing would make me happy. I was talking like with Alfredo about it. It's like, you know, nothing would make us happier. Like in a few years down the road, meet some people that have a decent business because it started with just like 10 Nano donation. I mean, to that would bring tears to my eyes, because that would be like, you know, it's not only about bringing crypto adoption, but actually making something about it. And that's what I think that's usually the best way to get around it.
Yeah. Okay. So shifting a little bit to KPI for those who aren't gamers. Can you tell us a little bit about what KPI gaming is?
Yeah. KPI started about 2 years ago. It was built as a new eSports club in Spain. The main reason to build it was to try and do things a bit in a different way, or what we believe is our way. I know it sounds a bit too generic, but let's just to give some background. In the last 3 years or so, since 2015, 2016, esports has grown a lot. It's grown a lot. A lot of investment has come in. A lot of people have lost a lot of money because people just, how can you say it? Like, players are not that professional. You got to understand that maybe 5-6 years ago, they were just amateurs. I mean, I used to compete myself in CSGO. I mean, some of my players, I used to even play with them like years ago. And the thing was that back then, the best experience would be like paying your own travel, go to another, you know, competition, play it, maybe get some money, but between travel costs, this, that, the other, you'd be at minus 100 euros. And that was a great event. You'd be like, man, we're only 100 euros minus, whatever, awesome. And now you've got people having salaries of over 1,000 euros and things like that. And it's just bizarre.
Right.
At least, I mean, for me, seeing it since I was small, it's just like, man, it's such a great thing. But right now, esports is one of the biggest, like, new growing industries. It's like crypto right now. People are using it a lot as a buzzword. It's a bit of a shame. But there is a lot of development going on. I mean, you guys saw during this DreamHack finals, like when Nano won, I mean, it was admitted, like, not only on stream that people, you know, thousands of people watching it there, but it was mainly where I see the main value is that, you know, hundreds of thousands of people, not only in Spain, but in Latin America that use Movistar, were seeing the matches. And we're seeing, you know, what Nano is. And there's a lot of, how can I say, a lot of exposure that can be done through esports. The only thing is you need to be very careful how you do it. There's a lot of people. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to understand that even if it sounds a bit bad, there always exists an old guys club. And if someone new comes and they want to promote in this industry, usually they're going to make them pass through a big check, right? Now, if obviously I've got someone that's doing something else in esports and I want him to help me out and promote something I want because we're friends, you know, prices are a bit different at the end of the day. And that's usually how it happens. I mean, but again, any industry, I guess, has that thing. It's just that I see it from the inside, and it's always a bit particular because when I see some companies pouring a lot of money, I don't see the return of investment that they get. But others obviously do get it a lot and actually interact a lot with the brands. I mean, we're seeing in Spain big telecom companies coming in, and obviously they sell internet. No better consumer than esports.
Right.
So there are some companies that make sense for them. But hopefully, I think in the next few years, it should try and settle itself. It's a little bit in a bubble, to be honest.
The esports industry is, or
yeah,
gaming industry. I mean,
at least I see it a bit as a bubble. Not saying that there isn't, the justification for the amount of money people are pouring in, but I think many big companies that have entered esports, they just got a call from their boss saying, "Hey, I want esports." And they found someone, they put the money, and it's like, "Okay, we're an esports boss." Like, awesome, great job.
Yep.
And that's it. Let's go for steaks tonight. And that's it. They're not really into saying, okay, what do these guys do? What do they like? How, there's all these different aspects about them that you can really touch. And from my point of view, for example, with Nano, with it being feeless, I mean, many people constantly are donating to streamers. The streamer has to take a 5% or something like that from PayPal. They can also get the refunds charged back. So I receive 100 donation from you. You cancel it, and I get charged like €10 or $10. I'm like, what's this about? It's bizarre, right? They also have certain issues that I think Nano can solve. I do think that it could be like, it doesn't need a proper strategy to be developed, gets the right people that are influencers in there. And once you've got a real decent plan saying, okay, let's start, because I'm sure that in a couple of 3 to 5 months, you're going to have a lot of people, gamers wise, at least, knowing Nano, using Nano, talking about Nano. And whether you want to drive them afterwards to something else, that's part of the plan, how you want to set it. But again, I mean, doing any marketing is not as easy as just saying, when marketing. Honestly, if you want to do it properly, or at least in my experience, that's been like all my life, just promoting companies in esports. It's like you have to have a really solid plan of who you want to get, how you want to touch with them, and how you want to get them to react, how you want them to do something with you, either it's buy your product, invest in it, talk about it, whatever your objective is. You need to give them, those 3 easy steps and bring them in. But I do think there are obviously, there is advertising and advertising. People sometimes do like what's it called? This big event that was in New York, the coin, everyone was expecting it, and there was like $1,300 tickets, like dead expensive. It was like a blockchain event. But anyways, at the end of the day,
is that Consensus? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Consensus. Okay. That's the one. Yeah. There was loads of branding, right, of advertising by many currencies, and we were saying, "Oh, look at these, and what are they doing?" What happened? Did the coin go up? It went down. It didn't. Not only it went down, but you can throw money, but just throwing money doesn't get results. And hopefully, I think that the community itself can pull through the marketing that Nano needs. And I think honestly that if the community builds it, the impact it will have, I think, will be a lot more than if it comes from the entity itself of Nano, which, as far as I know, it's not a security account or something. But there is a bit of I think that it's a lot more positive if it resides in the community, because it's a teamwork effort. And maybe a lot of people wonder, hey, how can I do something, whatever? Just propose things. Just help however you can.
Yeah. It seems like you've got a ton of ideas for different ways to help Nano gain adoption. And I would imagine that's because of experience of doing marketing stuff, but also because you just think about it and put your ideas out there.
Yeah, I mean, it is how it is. I mean, everyone works a bit differently. I mean, I honestly see Nano with a really good impact. Like, I mean, I don't hold a lot of Nano. Like, if Nano went really big, it doesn't. But I do think there is a lot of potential shown. There's a lot of potential to change so many people's lives. Give them like another kind of a second chance. And maybe it's not even a second chance, like the first chance in their lives, because they haven't had that before. I mean, you and I and most people have had access to education, even if it's at a basic level. We've been able to learn things, whatever. These people, most of them in the last few years, young kids, young teenagers, they struggle a lot. I mean, over at PvP, we've got a couple of people like from Venezuela hired since a while ago. I mean, when I started learning more about their situation, I'll be honest. I mean, in Spain, there's a lot of battles and politically between the left wing and the right wing. Between, you know, Venezuela, the left wing in Spain has used Venezuela a lot, but because Venezuela is really bad now, people are like, you know, giving them, you know, bad rep about it because, well, you guys were with Venezuela and they're all like dictators, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, there's no real discussion, but you just get bombarded with information. At the end, it makes you like, you know, you don't care that much about it because you've heard it a lot, right?
Right.
But not until you passed a few nights. And I'll be honest, like, it was a couple of nights on Discord talking to lots of guys from like the Banano channel, right? How the situation was, what the things, how things could be improved. And I remember seeing this post of the Venezuelan that got like 0.5 nano donated, right? And how the rest of the community started donating and how he bought a lot of food. And it reminded me a lot about that saying, you know, don't give them, you know, if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. Teach them how to fish, feed himself for eternity. That's my route. I want to, you know, push it, want to try and build it, want to try and get it out there. It's not myself on my own. I'm doing it with Azuleto also. He was the guy that came to DreamHack from random Discord user, came to DreamHack, met him there, and I mean, what an awesome guy. And he also like helped loads. He was thank you, Azuleto. Like, it was really awesome to have him. And we had loads of discussions about it. I was like, you know, it's good to help people, but you want to give them something to really help them in the long term. And I think setting up a business is key to any individual freedom. I mean, I've always, since I was like 16, I've set up my own businesses. I didn't 18, I went away from home because I believe more about, you know, building stuff than learning and studying and things like that. Over the years, obviously, you have to go back and read your stuff. But what you do get at the end of the day, you do realize, or at least the way I work is that I think that everyone in the world really deserves just an opportunity, just a chance to try it out. Just maybe their own personal conditions haven't allowed them because, you know, their family sport, whatever. Okay, that doesn't mean that brain doesn't work. That brain can do a lot. And you just need to give them the right tools, give them a few things. And I'm sure that what I think could come out is nothing to what could maybe end up. I mean, I don't know. People can do a lot with very little, and they just need that trust behind them to say, you know, you can do it. Come on. If you've got any questions, just come to the Discord, just ask us, blah, blah, blah. We'll help you in anything. Just try it. Just work yourself, build yourself this new opportunity, and, you know, free yourself. Like I like to say, free yourself from the chains of society.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about the event that recently happened, which was you got your team to market Nano. So tell us about that. How'd that happen?
Okay. So, I mean, it was just like a joke on Discord we were just talking a few out there. Austin was there, and it was just like, you know what? We could just put Nano on top of KPI. I mean, right now we haven't got any business commitments with anyone. It doesn't cost us anything to do it. So, and I honestly want to, you know, help as well. I was seeing that there was a bit of when we were talking before about the expectations people have, and, you know, they think they're investing and they should be going up. I think there's a bit of a downtrend in that sense. I was like, you know, it'd be really cool to get Nano out there and do it in the best way possible, you know, get out there. I mean, to be honest, there was a bit of a risk. I mean, I thought they better win. Sure, they better win. If they don't win, this isn't going to look very well at all. But again, it went full circle. Like when they won, it was just incredible. I mean, not that they weren't capable of, but getting all the people hyped about Nano KPI. Oh yeah, they might win. Blah blah blah. It was a bit so and so. But yeah, it started as a joke, and then when we were talking about doing it, it was like, okay. I was talking with DreamHack, and they offer to different teams that are competing there the ability to set up a stand, an informational stand for the team. And I was talking with them and with Andy also, and saying you know, it'd be a great way if we could with the community fund something, you know, and pay for the stand, get the stewards, get everything, and use this price that I've got just for Nano, use it that way, because we were not going to put a stand at all. And I was like, okay, well, let's set it up. Got planning, calls, get all the prices, get everything done. get confirmation. But like then the Nano Center came out, so we do it like throughout there, which was great. Like the people fully supported it, and it was like I was just without words seeing that in 3 days. I think it was like 3 days it got funded. It was like okay. I mean, I was like writing to Andy and I was like, man, I'm having to send here 2,000 up front for the stand. I hope we can get the funding, blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, because everything had to be, we had like only like a week, 10 days to get it all done.
Right.
And it was just bizarre. Like, and I had a conference in Barcelona for like 3 or 4 days, which I was like kind of off. It was just bizarre. But at the end of the day, we were able to get the stuff. The Nano Center set up like a Discord channel. People were proposing designs, things like that. Some designs were done out. Because of this thing of the conference that I was leaving before, I couldn't get some stuff done because I wasn't back at home. Like I'd left with my laptop and it was just a bit limited. But some of the stuff had to be like redesigned in the last minute. I remember like coming back and it was like, man, it's like Sunday, tomorrow's Monday. I need to send this and these designs have got these little typos, and I need to redesign this because like some of the flyers.
I remember I was chatting with you about setting up this interview, and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning where you were, and you were working and chatting with me.
Yeah, I mean, this last week, I think I must have like, I mean, not these 2 or 3 days, but like the other week during DreamHack and a bit previously, I think must have set like 4 hours maximum each day. So I'd be like 9 o'clock, I've got to be up for this. And it's like, we've got our own little thing. And then it's just a bit crazy. I mean, I really thank like a lot what the people did. Like there's loads of people trying to help out and designs and things like that. Some might have noticed that some of the designs got completely changed. My fault in that regard. And I say my fault because when you do like a flyer for a person, you really need to capture their attention, Sean. Like you can't give like a block of text. Like no one's going to read that unless it says like what everyone thinks about Sean. If I give you a page that says what everyone thinks about Sean, and it's like
I don't want it.
You're going to read it. No, you're going to read it. If it says what everyone thinks about Sean, trust me, you're going to read it. But we can't do that for everyone, right? And it's like we need to give like, I mean, I'd like to get some flyers out and show them to you. But like we changed the design. I did like this little like, you know, pros and cons of Bitcoin and Nano and made it like really simple. It was just, at the end of the day, I felt this pressure from, you know, it got funded so quick. So many people were hyped about the stand. And I know that I'm a bit, I can be a bit hard to work with in the sense of the bar. I like to always set the bar a bit higher. If it's not high, it needs to, you know, I think that if you're building something for like the community, in this case, you really need to have this bar saying, okay, look, this is not good enough. It's, you know, it's good what you've done. I appreciate it, but it can't go out. Like people aren't going to be able, they're going to see that our value is going to go down in the stand itself. Like you, at the end of the day, when you're talking with advertising, marketing, it's, even if it sounds a bit like that, it's all about smoke. It's all about what people think, what people believe, and then what it is what it is, and then however you can defend it, right? Anyone who says otherwise, they have not done anything about this, and it is how it is. Right. But you can, what I wanted to try and focus on saying, okay, let's get the cryptocurrency for gamers, let's get their attention, let's bring them, give them some free Nano, saying like, we literally after, like on Saturday, we got a big sign that said free money, not fake. And just we had like a steward, and I was like, people just came on going. I was like, man, there's, at the end of the day, you really need to find ways to capture their attention, right? Right. What was the most important thing for the stand, at least for me, was to really understand how people were seeing Nano. You and I understand crypto and know what Nano is, how it works, this, that, the other. But we cannot, or I cannot understand how an average Joe thinks about Nano for the first time they see it. Now, we got a lot of, I'd say like personal data, like I like to call it, like, you know, from how people felt. Do they know Bitcoin? Do they not know? What is it that's going to bring them to Nano? Is it not missing the next Bitcoin, which was curiously the thing that attracted most? Like the fact that it has no fees and it's instant to you and me and to everyone in crypto. Yeah, man, it's got like all these pluses and whatever. But for the average Joe, that's not like what's going to really get them into using it. Like per se, I was saying, hey, do you want Nano? It's like, why do I want Nano? Why should I install this wallet? Why would I waste my time? Right. Keep talking to you. Let's put it like a really hard way. It's a thing that I think that was like, it's a really good experience in that regard. We we learned a lot. We changed a lot, the dialogue that we were using. Like it was constantly just learning, change, learning, change, learning, change. And at the end, we realized that everyone's greedy. No one wants to build the next Bitcoin. They do like the fact that it has no fees and it's instant to donate to streamers. This is the gaming like demographic.
Right.
But I do see that all of these millennials, Gen Z would use, or Nano could be integrated to many of their games to give a real sense of a currency. And I'm sure many game developers have no interest of building their own currency on the chain and all that. They just say, okay, look, how can I integrate this? I get X amount of advertising from the people watching my app. How much can I give them in Nano? That much. Do a simple conversion. And I think that way would be a great way to really push Nano forward, because most of the applications that are online use advertise in some kind of way to make money. If the owner of the app makes $1, let's just simplify 1 Nano. Why not give to the user 0.20 Nano? Now he can still buy stuff in your own shop, and then maybe you can let him say, okay, after you've spent X amount of Nano, I'll let you take it out. Because mostly they're going to want to keep it inside. But those are the real things that I think that can really bring true real adoption, real use of Nano to our developed countries at least.
Earlier in the review, you talked about when 3 things you want to think about when you're trying to sell something to someone or market someone to something.
Yeah.
Can you go through each of those 3 things and apply that to
like Nano or to the stand or
to the stand and rebranding team name?
I mean, the 3 or 4 things. I mean, usually I always remember it's like I call it the AIDA method, but it's like in Spanish. AIDA, anyways, like grabbing their attention. First the A, right? Grab their attention, then gain their interest, then create a desire to want to, whatever it is that you're doing, create a desire, and then create action. So first of all, when we were really trying to create, an attention was like, hey, do you want free money? Hey, do you want to not miss the next Bitcoin? Whatever. And when you were saying, okay, now that I've grabbed their attention and they've come to the stand, right? Or they've visited, they've clicked the site, whatever it is, you really need to grab their interest. How can you grab their interest in the fullest? In my opinion, in my experience, unfortunately, how data exists and how everything is set up, I can really tailor an advert for you, Sean, and something totally different for someone else. Like when we were talking, like in the Nano Center, was like a proposal there about like Facebook adverts and things like that. I mean, when I've worked with a lot of Facebook, it's like the best way to bring conversions. You do a lot of testing demographics, age groups, blah, 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 blah. You really try, you maybe spend like a week or 2 researching, but at the end of the day, you find what message works best for each group. And then that's when you throw the money at it. Once you've got the confirmation that it works. But the same with this. I mean, any type of marketing or advertising, you grab their attention, create a desire, an interest, and then a desire to want it. In our case, usually was mainly heavy focus again on the same thing that we used to grab their attention. It's like, hey, you know Bitcoin, right? Yeah. You remember hearing Bitcoin a couple of years ago? Yeah. You missed that, right? Yeah. Don't want to miss it again, do you? I know it's not the message that Nano is, but when you're trying to bring people to you, you need to have an efficient message that will connect with them. And that's something that needs to be really looked at independent. Everyone has their own opinion, but in my opinion, I think that's the best way to grab someone's attention. Everyone that was brought had interest and downloaded the wallet, spent their time, they received, many came back. There is,
the action then was, the action was getting them to download the wallet.
Yeah, like the main action was downloaded the wallet and get some Nano. Most of the people that came to the stand downloaded the wallet and we sent some Nano to them. A lot of people obviously tell them to download the wallet. Download an app. What? You want me to download an app? Got all this stuff to do in this event. Why am I going to download an app? Are you going to give me free money? How much free money? 0.1 Nano. And how much is that? Well, it's about 30 cents.
Hey, it's still free money.
Those are, yeah, but that's a reality that we have to. Now, my question is whether, I mean, people might say, okay, was the stand, did it make sense? Was it successful? Whatnot. In my opinion, it went well. You can't say it could have gone better. If you wanted to go better, we would have had to do a lot more stuff in the stand. Like the stand was like the we did it as cheap as possible. Like in regards to things, we hardly, we didn't have any like specific giveaways or things to bring people to the stand. I proposed a few things, but at the end, I understand that once people have things like that. But if I can't bring a real attention to say, hey, I'm giving $1,000 worth of nano, then you're going to have a really big queue of people wanting to learn what the hell is this nano and how can I enter to win this $1,000? Because people at the end of the day are people, and what drives them is self-interest. Always has been, always will be. And sometimes there's a few people that you meet, and you're really fortunate when you do, that they say, self-interest, that's so boring. It's awesome to do stuff for others. But like, meanwhile, I understand other people are, it is how it is. You can't complain about that. Each to their own. But I do think that it was a good thing. It was a good, a good first contact. A lot of things learned. I feel the need to at least put out a document of everything that was learned off the stand. I need stuff that for people that want to do something in the future related to nano, and basically say, hey, look, this is what was learned. My suggestions apply this, and this. This is what worked. And hopefully, more stuff can be done.
I really like the four things you do for marketing, because it is literally can apply to any type of person in any situation. Like, we can all take that back to where we are and figure out how it applies to the people that we know, how to grab their attention, create interest, create desire, and drive action.
Action again, yeah. In Spanish, it's called AIDA, but yeah, it's like, but yeah, I mean, definitely.
Yeah. So everybody remember that, and figure out, go test it on your cousin. See if you can get it to work. See if you can get them to download the app. I don't know why I said cousin. You could do your mom or your uncle.
Everyone. Just need to pester everyone saying, hey, you want free money? You've got their attention. Yeah. You don't want to miss the next Bitcoin? Now you've got their interest. So, okay, well, I could give you some. Ooh, you got their desire there. And then do the action, say, hey, we'll download the bloody wallet and I'll send you some.
Yeah. Okay, so I know from personal experience that when you do big events like this and you plan a certain amount of money, it always costs more than you expect. No matter how much extra you plan for, it always costs more. So I was wondering if there was any unexpected expenses that came about when you were putting this event together.
Yeah, there was some unexpected. I mean, the main one was just like a bit bizarre, getting told in the last minute. But obviously, I mean, we set up like an amount for the funding, what needed to be done. I mean, there was a few things like T-shirts for the girls at the stands, like these ones. I mean, I made these like, I had to put this up front to get at least about like 20 or so. So everyone at the stand would have clean T-shirts and it's all like fully nano branded. But it's like, I'll admit, like I forgot to add this into the funding, whatever. But like, hey, there's always these little type of little things. There was a point that we didn't know if the stand was going to go through fully. It was just like when we got there and we were picking up all our credentials and things like that to go into the event, we got told that we had to pay an extra €1,700. That's like including the VAT, because our stand wasn't a KPI stand. It was a nano stand. And the designs that got sent from like the Nano Center had like everything about nano, whatnot, but they didn't include like the logo of KPI. I mean, I didn't say that, hey, there needs to be a big logo about KPI. This was like totally unexpected. There was nothing about it. But when we got there, the people at DreamHack, they did have some bit of like the people who do the printing and the stand itself, like who we rent the gear and the things to. It's a different company than DreamHack. But DreamHack supervises all the stands that go in their events, obviously. And when they were doing on, I think it was Thursday or Wednesday, I think it was, they were doing like going around the events, seeing how the stand was set up. Ours ones had like big one of nano, nothing of KPI. And they were like, who's Nano? We haven't received any money off Nano. And then they looked into it and they saw that it was our stand, and then they put us an extra fee, like sponsorship, it says it there, like 1,600 plus VAT. And it was like, either you pay this now or you don't come in. And it was a bit of like you can't go in there in that moment and say, hey guys, to like whatever, or we don't go in. So I just like said, look, whatever, I'll just send the money. get it dusted. Let's get with the event through. I'm like talking with a few guys like Andy and Austin. I was saying, look, this is what happened. I don't want to worry about it right now. Let's get the event done. Let's get everything finished. And once we get back, let's see how we can sort it out. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's still pending a bit up there. But there's always been like added costs.
Okay, so that 1,700 euros came out of your own pocket?
Yeah, my own pocket and the t-shirt. So it's about like
wow,
$2,000 or something like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm happy with how everything ended. Honestly, like the boys won. Nano got everywhere. It was on the newspapers, on television. I mean, I still need my guys to get me all the media stuff so I can have a full list of everything that has been put out with Nano on it. But to be honest, like it's been a great brand awareness, at least for Nano, to show itself and be present. And obviously, it was at zero cost. The only thing that cost was the stand.
Are there other ways in the future that you see yourself involved with Nano?
Definitely. I mean, I think that for starters, I'm full in with Nano adoption in the sense of I've actually personally said, look, I think there's a really good cause behind that with what we were talking before about developing like businesses in these developing countries. Without something like that, I felt like this call or this thing. Like it's just like I feel that with so little from us, like it's just a little bit of our time, a little bit of our money, we can do a lot for them. That's honestly my main focus. I think that if we can set up a really good, decent amount of adoption over there, whenever Nano needs to succeed, or when the next boardroom appears, because let's be honest, most of the value of crypto depends on Bitcoin. If we have a really solid project over there, I think is going to be really key to make a difference, to prove, like, say, hey, no, it's not just that we bank in the unbanked. It's like, no, literally, we had this, that. We had like so many different projects out there trying to help and create not only their own personal wealth, but improve their own life. I don't see that much Bitcoin, or, I do see currencies donating money, but I've always thought that just donating doesn't fix anything. It's just like, yeah, you donate to NGO, whatever. Yeah, they're going to manage it. Yeah, you give me the money. I'll be the one that's going to manage it. I'll decide how it goes. It's like, is it going to go there? I mean, I'd rather just say, hey, Juan, here's 10 Nano. Every week, just give us an update. How's it going? What are your difficulties? What are your problems? We'll try and sort them out, blah, 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 and get them whatever. And if out of 10 of them, we get, a couple of people lie to us, well, hey, like I said, it's all right. As long as you can help some, good people, fortunately, with time and better filtering, obviously, there'll be less cases. But right now, that's my main focus. I mean, I've also, because I work also in the gambling industry, I have been moving a little bit in this, like last week in the conference over there in Barcelona, there was like a big executive summit for gaming, and they're all about Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm like, like there's this other thing that's not blockchains called block lattice. It's like instant, and all these games of slots that you've got, it could be on the chain, and people could say that your system's fair, and they're like, I'm like, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I mean, honestly, these last few months, I've enjoyed a lot of the time that I spent with Nano, like doing different kinds of things. With PvP, has been pretty hectic, like at the start when we were integrating it and getting all the people behind it. But I do think I do see myself committed in the next few months, to at least a couple of projects, get them done, get them finished, get them rolling, or at least get the rock enough, like a round ball that you just push it and it can just roll on its own, right? Then maybe I don't know what will happen, but for now, I mean, that's my free time priority.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so a word from our sponsors. We've got two, as always, BrainBlocks. BrainBlocks is a company that makes it really easy for you to use your Nano all across the internet. And they've also created something called Pod. Pod is a physical device that you can plug into your router at home and host a node in your house. I have one. I've had one for over a couple of weeks, and it works perfectly. It doesn't use a ton of bandwidth. It's low energy. It's really cool. I definitely recommend it. You should check it out. You can check one out at nanocast.co/pod. nanocast.co/pod. And then also nanothings.store. That's Andy's online store. It sells all things Nano. If you leave a comment on these videos or on iTunes or wherever, you'll be entered to win a pack of stickers that are all about Nano. Lastly, before we went, yeah, you should do it. You should get some nanos.
No, definitely. I mean, mostly with Andy. I mean, he's a great guy who just, I'm going to get some stickers myself, man.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's a great guy. And last word goes to you. What are some words of inspiration for the community at large?
Some words of inspiration. Build stuff. Just jump into the Discord, find anything that interests you. Just build it, help, whatever you can. If you don't know how to code, propose ideas. If you don't know how to design, propose ideas and do copy. There's always going to be something needed. Every project needs someone. Not everyone. You don't need a designer or a coder for everything. So I want to really push people who do not code or do not design or anything like that to push themselves out there. I'm sure they've got loads of ideas that they think that people might say stupid or dumb. I think it needs to go out there. Like, people need to just push themselves and start building. Because if you really want to get into Nano and you want to really, I'm talking from my experience, like well into everything, what is Nano, just jump in, start doing something, and in time, you won't realize how many things you're into with Nano. And it's like, man, I can't get Nano out of my head.
Yeah. So build stuff, and a good place to go to that, to go for like resources and other people building things, is the Nano Center Discord. So you can check that out at nanocenter.org.
Yeah, I think they've got the nanocenter.org or nanocenter.org also.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, loads of ideas discussed there. So jump in, propose, get your hands dirty, and start building.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, again, thanks so much for being on. Thanks everybody for listening. And we'll see you next week.